Greg, why don't you lead us off in tonight's episode, giving us a dose of reality right now as to what's happening with the real estate market?
Yeah, so coming off of last month's episode, where I was a little bit more, optimistic that things are really starting to pick up.
Yeah.
It's kind of more into the, it's kind of chugging along at this point. I thought things would be a little bit hotter than they actually are.
Okay.
For example, in Bolingbrook, we have 44 current listings of detached homes that are on the market. And that's about where it's been the last 3 years, right around 40, something like that homes. So it's just kind of chugging along.
Okay. And is therefore the inventory, the months of supply still running just a tad above 1 month?
Yeah, the month supply, and I'm going to take a look at it here while I got you on the phone. The month supply here is 1.1.
Okay.
And that's exactly where we've been since October of last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then before October, we were at 1.
Okay.
So we've come up a little bit higher in inventory, but like what, 3 houses? I mean, seriously, it's pretty slow. It's pretty low inventory.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a bump of 3 houses as far as inventory when, according to some data that I'm looking at, it was like last 12 months. So let's say it was last calendar year, there were 700 and something homes that sold, right?
Yeah. We had, typically in a year, we're probably at about a quarter of where we're normally at.
Yeah.
Low. But what I keep looking at is price per square foot. And I keep my eye on that. And detached homes in Bolingbrook used to be at 188 last year, and now we're at 196.
So it keeps going up.
It keeps going up. And some of the subdivisions. So I do a lot of farming in neighborhoods on the western part. I live over in Fairways of Augusta.
Okay.
So I farm like Cider Creek, for example.
Yeah.
And give you an idea there, Cider Creek, those are all town and country homes. Their price per square foot is $245 per price per square foot.
Oh, wow.
And then you have, so that's real good. Cider Creek is 204 school district. So it's all Neuqua High School, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Hickory Oaks, which was built in the same time period by Pasquinelli builders, it's a little bit of a different style. Cider Creek tends to be they have more homes that are open, more of an open concept, open floor plan. Yeah. Pasquinelli was building same time period, but more of the traditional style of a home.
Got it.
Not as open as Cider Creek. And those that price per square foot is $204. So $245 for Cider Creek, $204 for Hickory Oaks. But part of the reason is half of Hickory Oaks is in the Bolingbrook High School district of 365.
Yeah.
So a lot of people really want the Neuqua High School, so that would drive a higher price. I've seen and sold the exact same home on one side of Kings Road, Hickory Oaks, for $30,000 more than the exact same home across on Kings Road.
So what you're telling me is
schools matter.
School district trumps floor plan.
Yes. So that's so $245 Cider Creek, $204 for Hickory Oaks. In Fairways of Augusta, where I live, it's $199 per square foot.
Yeah.
Our homes are newer, right around the early 2000s. And we have both Overstreet and Ryland builders in the subdivision.
Okay.
You might be thinking, well, why is it $199 and Cider Creek is $245? The main reason that I see is that the actual footprint, the size of the home in Cider Creek is quite a bit smaller.
Really?
So homes in Fairways of Augusta, there's many that are over 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
So it's a much bigger home. That's a lot more square footage. They're not going to go for $1 million. They're going to go for 750 or 850,000. Right. So that price per square foot is going to come down a little bit. Where Hickory Oaks has some homes that are 1,800 square feet, and they're still getting close to 500,000, for it. So that's why that's happening.
That might give me a sense that maybe the smaller home is more appealing, and it's moving faster for that first time purchase where it's more affordable, let's call it like it is. And also there is a big demand, I feel, from the first home buyers, right?
Yeah, there's just a bigger buyer pool of people
right
in that price range, in the $400,000 to $500,000 price range. There's a lot more people that can afford that payment.
I agree. I agree.
than can afford a $800,000 home.
That's true. Yeah. As you move up in price point of any good consumer good asset, there's just a smaller pool of buyers. Period. Plain and
Correct.
simple. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me
Absolutely.
ask you this question because I know you help both sides of your consumer clients. You help them sell. You help them buy. When you are engaged in their journey to sell or buy, what are you hearing from sellers as to why they're selling? What is their motivator? Are they moving from one place in Bolingbrook to another, or out of Bolingbrook? I mean, what's their reason?
Most are moving out of Bolingbrook. Some are moving out of the state. I've had,
Are
I just sold a house for a client of mine who moved, bought 15 acres of land down in Tennessee,
Wow.
and he's putting on a manufactured home
Oh yeah.
on the 15 acres. And he's a client of mine, so I worked with him in the past.
Okay.
I sold the townhouse that he owned as an investment property, but he also had a home out in Sandwich, which was a farm.
Yeah.
And he had cattle. He had his own gun range out there. So it was pretty cool. But I sold that one for him, and then his last house was here locally, and I sold that for him, and then he moved to Tennessee. He's got one more house left for me to sell.
Did he also move out of Tennessee, not just for more acreage of land, maybe a simpler lifestyle? Did he move out of Illinois because he got tired of the winter?
He never mentioned that to me, but he did mention just an easier life, lower taxes.
Yeah, for sure.
He's close to Kentucky, and I guess they have, I don't know, no tax on gasoline or something like that.
Okay.
Because he was talking about just being able to go over the border and get medication and fuel and stuff like that, and not have to even pay taxes on it. So now he's got 15 acres, a manufactured home, and his tax bill is probably going to be a third of what his small house was here.
That's true. I've heard those stories. Okay, so let me share with you one of my stories. One of my neighbors who we know them. My wife and I know them because our dogs, when we walk past their house, our dogs know their dog, and they become like little best friends or whatever. And so within the week, this is really fresh news. Within the week, as we walked past their house, we saw a for sale sign. And so I think almost the next day we ran into them. My wife ran into her. And so she struck up a conversation like, hey, where are you moving to? And so their story is they bought this home, Greg, in 2021. So think about that. Not that far back, somewhat recent. And we know that when they bought the home, they did it as a young couple, sans kid, and I think even Sam the dog, no dog yet, right?
Okay.
And so she told my wife, she said, "Oh, we decided to move. Not that we really wanted to move out of Elmhurst, but we decided to go back to Ohio to be close to family." Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of a common story that I'm hearing lately with friends who are selling, as well as clients and other relationships of mine that are selling. It's for these other life events that they feel like are very important to them. So there you have it.
Yeah, I would have to say life events are the main driver. Very rarely do I hear somebody say, "Hey, I got to sell right now because it's a seller's market and I'm going to make the most amount of money for my house."
Right.
It's always the life events, divorce or something like that.
Which now leads me to move the conversation this way with you and our audience members. As a real estate broker professional, there are three things I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to give it back to you, maybe not in the right order. There are three things that matter, right, when selling or buying, which is I've heard price, terms, and time. Correct?
You mean as far as making an offer with contingencies and stuff like that?
Yeah, and how, target close date, how fast or how slow, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Of those three factors, when you have represented a seller, what is the one of those three that's been the craziest that you've seen? Has it been like price, terms, or time?
Good question. That's a doozy. You look at the price first, right off the bat.
True. We do.
So how much am I going to get? Then you usually move that to what are the contingencies? Do they have a house to sell?
True.
Is it a first-time home buyer? And then after that's kind of looked at and said, okay, we can kind of work with this. when do they want to close?
Yeah.
We want to close 30 days. Usually the closing date you can move around kind of, even once you have the price, okay, we're good on the price and we're okay that you have to sell a home.
Right.
But we want to move the closing date to 90 days out or 60 days out, something like that. So you can usually finagle that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we both know and have heard the cliche, time is money. So I agree with you. Sometimes it's we look at price first because that's human nature. But I think at the end of the day, for almost a majority of households who are selling and or buying, they need the flexibility of time. They either need more time or they need to do it fast.
Yeah. I mean, especially if the homes are vacant, they want to just close it. If I got a cash buyer, I can close it in 2 weeks, or 10 days.
Yeah.
If it's somebody where the people are living in the home, they're saying, oh my God, I got a contract on the third day. I need time to find a home. I need, 45 or 60 days.
Right. Are you a big fan as a real estate broker professional, helping your clients see and understand the benefit, the strategy of maybe doing a sale leaseback? What's your opinion to that?
Yeah. So actually, when I go to a listing, one of the first questions I ask them is, where are you going?
Good question.
Because it's so important that people understand that when you put your home on the market, it could go under contract tomorrow. Where are you going to go?
That's right.
I don't want to present a full price offer to you. And then you say, oh, well, I got to go find a house. Well, we're going to lose this deal.
Right.
So I always ask them, where are you going? Do you have a place to go? Do you have family in the area that can take you in for a couple of weeks until we get your purchase taken care of?
Right.
Something like that. So I always ask them where they're going. And what was your original question?
Oh, my question was, are you a fan of doing a sale and leaseback, rent back?
I'm not a fan of it, but I've done plenty of them.
Okay.
The attorneys won't be a fan of it either, but they do. Yeah, they do plenty of them.
Okay.
Just as long as the money's going to be collected and held with the title company in escrow.
Sure.
Of usually 5 or maybe 10 grand.
Yeah.
Until that final walkthrough is done and make sure everything is okay, then they'll release the money. The people selling will usually have to do a rent back and usually pay them per day of whatever their mortgage payment or whatever you work out is going to be. But being that we're in a seller's market, buyers are saying, oh, don't worry about it. Just stay there for 2 weeks. We're good.
Sure.
So it really depends on the time.
Yeah. Well, as we talked about, right? Those are the 3 legs of the stool. It's price, terms, and time. So for all of you watching this episode of Real Living in Bolingbrook, keep that in mind and don't go anywhere. Before we both jump from this episode, we will share with you, Greg and I will share with you a simple way as to how you can engage us to start a conversation with you to help you through your next steps in your journey. Let me wrap up tonight's episode, Greg. And I think you know this about my business, and that is for that first-time buyer segment, one of the biggest challenges, one of the speed bumps, it could be a large speed bump for some, is not so much affordability, right? Of that 500,000 or less home in Bolingbrook, it might just be, I didn't save enough money to come up with enough of a downstroke, my down payment, and or the other costs to close the deal, right? So with all of that said, let me bring up for all of you social media friends, a solution we offer, and that is a down payment assistance solution that we couple to FHA financing. And here are the couple of things that you should take away. There are no income limits. You can use this toward your purchase of your next primary home, whether it's a 1 unit all the way up to a 2 unit, as well as, condos and townhomes, of course. But the key here is no income limits. So amongst the many other alternative down payment assistance solutions where they're unfortunately more catered to like low mod income households, this is uniquely something that my organization is offering as a plan B. And of course, maybe it becomes a plan A for you. So with all of that said, audience members, let me now share with you how you can start a conversation with Greg and or myself to help you with those 3 things: price, terms, or time. Whether you are selling or buying, all you have to do, wrong one. All you have to do is make sure that you add this to your speed dial. Simply scan the QR codes that you see here, one for Greg, one for myself. We will gladly engage you in a personal consultation, working with you through your next steps. Anything more you want to add, Greg?
No, did you put QR codes on here though? I can't see anything.
Yeah, here. Let me.
Oh,
Right
there you
there.
go. Got
There
it.
you go.
Okay, perfect.
So let me leave it up here, social media friends. Thank you for joining us in tonight's episode of Real Living in Bolingbrook. Until Greg and I see you in the next episode, 4 weeks out. All right, Music Posse, play us out.